So super move number 2, okay? This is a big one, okay? Say no to lunch meetings and say yes to coffee meetings.
Say no to lunch. Say no to lunch.
Clay, how many times a week do you get invited to go out to a lunch meeting to network?
20 times.
20 times a week. So why do most people want to have those lunch meetings?
I feel, though, people think it's a great way to meet because, when the waiter says, what do you want to drink? You have time to talk while the beverage comes out. Mm-hmm. Then when the waiter brings out the food, he says, what do you guys want to eat? You order. You have time to talk. Then the only time you don't have time, the only time you're not talking is when you're eating. Mm-hmm. And then afterwards, the guy says, do you want me to get you a check? Yeah, I do. And then as he's coming back with the little thing for you to fill it out and pay him, you have time to talk. So 3/4 of that hour is available to talk. Mm-hmm. And that's a great way for people. It's about an hour long and you can spend time talking.
Sure.
But what I would say is you have to drive a half hour there, a half hour back, and then you have to be totally unreachable during that time. So anytime that someone asks me for lunch, I go for a meeting, a standing meeting in my office if at all possible. I hate meeting for lunch. I just hate it. Hate it because it takes vast amounts of time. Now, if it's a strategic relationship, I would usually tend to go for a dinner meeting. Mm-hmm. So we had a guy right now, unbelievable, super talented guy we're going to be interviewing here soon, and he wanted to meet. And so Dr. Zoellner and I met him for dinner, and we had all the time in the world. There was no time constraints. We weren't rushing over to the lunch place and rushing back to the office. So you really want to, if somebody asks you, can you meet for lunch? I'd like to kind of role play that so people can see how you handle that tactfully.
Sure. So I'm walking into the office. You're in between client meetings?
In between.
Okay, and I go, hey, Clay, I have this great idea. I know that you're busy, but can we go get lunch and maybe we can talk about it real quick?
Let me do this. My schedule's just packed, but what you're saying is super important for me. Mm-hmm. Let's look at the calendar real quick here. And I'd actually look at the calendar right there. That's why I have one calendar. I look at it and go, why don't we meet at 1 o'clock? And we'll meet undivided time from 1 to 1:30. Let's just meet, you and me. Mm-hmm. Boom, we'll knock it out.
Cool.
And I might do that. And I have in my office, just so you guys know, we have a coffee bar. Mm-hmm. And I don't care what your budget is. I would encourage every single person listening to this to have a coffee maker in your own office or something. So you can go, hey, well, you can grab a cup of coffee in my office and I'd like to meet with. Just try not to leave the office to have meetings because you're going to lose hours.
I feel like when somebody invites you to a lunch meeting, it's kind of like, hey, do you want to be a hostage of mine for like an hour?
I hate it. I just hate it because I have so much going on, and I'm also probably naturally antisocial, I guess. I don't know. I'm just all about getting stuff done. But I'm just telling you, you will lose vast... There's a lady I worked with on this, and I'm not exaggerating. There's a lady I worked with a couple years ago, and I taught her this system, and she literally told me, she goes, I'm saving... I didn't even realize how many of these networking lunches I was going to. Mm-hmm. I am saving tons and tons and tons of time. Like every week, I have like 4 or 5 hours now to do inventory. This is amazing. Thank you. So this could really be a game changer for somebody who's been stuck in the lunch line for a long time.
Say no to volunteer hostage opportunities.